Right away, this whole thing seemed like typical fight week theater. You had Paddy Pimblett flashing that cocky grin, while Justin Gaethje just burned holes through him with his stare. But something was different this time. The energy was raw, like this wasn't going to end when the camera stopped rolling.
I'm here with Paddy the Paddy Pimblett for UFC 324. He's fighting against Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight title. Firstly, Paddy, how you feeling? How's the body feeling?
Feeling great. Best shape I've ever been in. Very cliche like, but best shape I've ever been in. Weight's the best it's ever been. Cannot wait for this one.
Sure enough, when they got behind closed doors later that day, all that built-up tension finally reached its breaking point. This wasn't about promoting a fight anymore. This was personal.
Well, Justin, we just had Paddy Pimblett in here, and he said that he's going to give you a beatdown the likes of which you've never received, and that you're going to be physically not the same after this fight. Curious if you take anything from those comments, or is it just, hey, it's fight week and this is what we do?
So everyone's going completely insane over what people are calling brand new fight footage between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje. If you've been anywhere near social media in the past couple days, you've definitely seen clips of these two lightweights going at it in ways that have fight fans everywhere genuinely confused about what they're actually watching.
Now, Justin Gaethje has said in an interview that he wants to hurt you. He quoted, "I want to fuck this kid up." Do you have the same mentality towards Justin Gaethje?
Of course, but we're in a fight. You know what I mean? I don't want to hurt him. I'm gonna hurt him. That's just the way it is.
At the UFC.
Here's what's really happening though. All this viral buzz around supposed new fight footage actually comes from these incredibly high production Paramount promo shoots. We're not talking about some actual backstage brawl or unsanctioned throwdown between these guys, but Paramount put together something so polished and intense that people stumbling across these clips without any background context are completely fooled.
Does that piss you off? Do you feel disrespected by that?
God, I'm always getting disrespected, so I don't mind. But what am I meant to do if the ranked fighters in the lightweight division are getting a bit older? You know what I mean? So there's not much I can do about it. I just get sent a contract with a name on and I sign it.
This whole situation makes way more sense when you understand what UFC 324 actually represents. This is absolutely massive for how fight content gets delivered to fans. We're witnessing the UFC's first appearance on Paramount Plus after their ESPN deal wrapped up. This marks the very first numbered UFC event streaming exclusively through Paramount Plus pay-per-view.
You recently made some comments about Dan Hooker's wrestling. What do you have to say about Justin Gaethje's wrestling?
It's better than fucking Dan Hooker's. It's better than Dan Hooker's.
Did you expect Dan Hooker to react the way he did?
No, he's a little bitch, but fuck him. I'm not even going to waste my time talking about him, lad. He's an absolute crab. St. Denis probably going to beat him, lad, and he's going to go out of the top 10.
The pressure on the streaming platform to make an instant impact on fight fans is enormous. You can see that desperation to grab attention in every single piece of promotional content they've dropped. Each clip shows Gaethje and Pimblett facing off with this incredible cinematic lighting, crystal clear audio engineering, and dramatic staging that makes every other fight promotion look like someone filmed it on their phone in a basement.
Did we ever see that return in the octagon?
Definitely not in the octagon, like.
Okay.
Definitely not.
You met Carlos Prates and you guys faced off and you had a cigarette together. I want to ask you, who's more unhealthy outside of the octagon? Carlos Prates or Paddy Pimblett?
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a very good question.
One loves their food, one's addicted to cigarettes.
Championship rounds dropped the face-off footage with a note about how incredible the Paramount production quality looked. That one post alone blew up with engagement, as fans kept praising how polished and premium the whole visual presentation appeared compared to anything we've seen from the UFC before.
Oh man, to have 14 bonuses and not equal up to $1 million, it's not right. It's not right. It should be a lot more than that, and I should have had opportunities to do smarter things with my money, but I don't, and I haven't. And to this day, everyone's, I hear Daniel Cormier saying that everybody's going to get paid more on this card.
This dedicated face-off shoot, where Gaethje and Pimblett squared up intensely for the cameras, has become the hottest topic in MMA circles. People are paying especially close attention to how Pimblett carries himself during these moments. He's standing tall, projecting this unusually confident presence, giving off what some people are calling a cinematic vibe. Fans are speculating about everything from special shoes to camera tricks that might be creating this height illusion that doesn't quite match what we see at official weigh-ins.
That's what I want to say now. Ilia Topuria has said he wants to return in April to June. Now, if you win the lightweight champion, does that timeline work for you, Paddy?
Not April, like, or May, not that early. June, July, yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Everyone's been praising the production for being flashy, cinematic, and representing a major upgrade in quality from the promotional material UFC fans have gotten used to over the years. Gone are the budget music choices and cringe editing decisions. The audio-visual quality perfectly matches what you'd expect from a Paramount-era presentation. French-speaking fans on social media called the Paramount production promising something substantial and heavy. That feeling spread across multiple language communities who encountered this promotional material. What makes these clips especially interesting is how they've blown up across social platforms with increasingly wild titles and descriptions. Some YouTube videos have gone full clickbait, with titles talking about backstage brawls or Joe Rogan being stunned. But these appear to be either pure clickbait or fan-made hypothetical edits rather than documentation of any real physical confrontation between the fighters. None of the credible MMA outlets have reported any actual fight or altercation between Pimblett and Gaethje during fight week. They're staying focused on the trash talk, the promotional build-up, and the growing tension between this confident young star and an established veteran known for violence. CDMMA's clip of the face-off pulled in over 2.5 million views. The replies were hyping everything from the gear to the lighting to the drama radiating from every single frame. How close the fighters get to each other has created plenty of humor in the comments, with viewers joking about the romantic tension when two competitors stand nose to nose while cameras capture every tiny facial expression. The intensity is impossible to deny, even though the actual physical contact has been limited to standard stare-down protocol that experienced fight fans recognize from countless UFC promotions throughout history. Spanish-speaking MMA accounts pointed out how unusual Pimblett's posture looks during these moments. Comments roughly translate to observations that he doesn't carry himself like a traditional fighter. There's something almost theatrical about his presence during these promotional face-offs. The debates about his stance, his confidence, and how the staging might have been manipulated to create a specific visual impression have generated nearly as much discussion as the actual fight itself. That speaks to just how effectively Paramount has captured attention with their approach to promoting this interim lightweight championship bout. The overall reaction to the Paramount production has been overwhelmingly positive. Fans are describing it as killer promotional material that makes this matchup feel substantially bigger than it might have seemed on paper when the booking was first announced. The upgraded Hollywood-style presentation has successfully built anticipation for what promises to be one of the most significant fights in recent lightweight division history, regardless of how people feel about the individual competitors involved. What separates this promotional campaign from previous UFC efforts goes beyond just production values. There's a narrative sophistication at work that recognizes exactly what combat sports fans want to see heading into a championship-level bout. The contrast between Gaethje's weathered veteran presence and Pimblett's almost theatrical confidence creates natural dramatic tension that translates beautifully to screen. Paramount's production team has exploited that contrast at every possible opportunity. The lighting emphasizes the physical differences between these two men. Camera angles capture the intensity of their stare-downs without missing any of the subtle psychological warfare happening in their facial expressions. The editing creates a rhythm that builds tension in ways that standard UFC promotional content rarely achieves. Earlier face-offs during media day or promotional shoots were described as respectful or simply building mystique, with no indication of the violence that would be needed to generate genuine clickbait material. Watching the progression from those relatively calm initial interactions to the intensity we've witnessed in recent days tells its own story about how fight week pressure transforms professional athletes into something approaching genuine adversaries, even when the underlying personal relationship might be more complicated than the promotional narrative suggests. Every compelling combat sports rivalry needs a trigger point. A moment where promotional pageantry transforms into something that feels genuinely personal. For Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje, that moment came with a series of comments about a retired legend that completely changed the temperature of fight week. Gaethje accused Pimblett of disrespecting legends like Dustin Poirier, after Pimblett described Poirier's retirement fight performance against Max Holloway in terms that the veteran lightweight found deeply offensive. this sparked what has become the central narrative thread running through all UFC 324 promotional coverage. The exact nature of Pimblett's comments about Poirier's final octagon appearance was brutal. He said Poirier looked like human waste during that performance, that his showing against Holloway represented a significant decline from what fans had come to expect from one of the most beloved fighters in lightweight division history. Gaethje, who shares years of history with Poirier, including wars that have defined both of their careers, took this criticism as a personal insult that demanded a response far more aggressive than standard pre-fight promotional banter typically requires. At the UFC 34 pre-fight press conference on January 22, 2026, Gaethje vowed to completely dominate Pimblett. He referenced his intention to break his opponent or force him into wrestling exchanges that would expose perceived weaknesses in the Liverpool fighter's game. The language was explicit, the emotion was intense, and veteran MMA observers noted that this represented a level of genuine hostility that Gaethje doesn't typically bring to his pre-fight promotional obligations. Pimblett's response to Gaethje's accusations about the Poirier comments demonstrated the kind of defiant confidence that has made him one of the most polarizing figures in modern mixed martial arts. He defended his right to offer honest assessments of other fighters' performances, suggesting that his opponent should stop complaining about remarks that simply reflected observable reality. The Liverpool fighter pointed out that Gaethje himself would likely have performed similarly against a competitor of Max Holloway's caliber, turning the criticism back on the very fighter who had taken such offense to his original statements. Understanding how this rivalry developed is essential for grasping why these comments landed with such devastating impact. Early in the build-up, Pimblett actually showed respect for Gaethje. He said he wouldn't trash-talk him the way James Vick did years ago before getting knocked out. Pimblett initially called Gaethje a legend and avoided direct personal attacks, suggesting that the animosity we're witnessing during fight week represents a genuine evolution in their relationship rather than manufactured promotional conflict. The tension first emerged when Gaethje conducted interviews complaining about fighter pay and expressing frustration about deserving a title shot that the organization seemed reluctant to provide. Pimblett fired back sharply in a viral clip, calling Gaethje a proper complaint artist for acting entitled. He argued that nobody in mixed martial arts is owed anything, regardless of their track record or reputation. He contrasted his own momentum with Gaethje's recent trajectory, noting that his last win came in more impressive fashion than anything his upcoming opponent had accomplished in the same time frame. As media day and press conferences approached in January 2026, Pimblett escalated his rhetoric substantially. He predicted he would hurt Gaethje worse than any previous opponent had managed. He stated that his opponent wouldn't be physically the same person after their encounter and promised a beatdown of unprecedented severity. The confidence bordered on arrogance, but for Pimblett's supporters, it represented exactly the kind of self-belief necessary to compete at championship level against one of the most violent strikers in lightweight history. The face-off at the press conference got genuinely intense. Gaethje mocked Pimblett's posture and confidence, while Pimblett stood tall and absorbed crowd chants of support from audience members who clearly aligned themselves with the Liverpool fighter. The chants echoed through the venue while Gaethje maintained his stoic demeanor, exchanging words that couldn't be picked up by broadcast microphones, but clearly contained the kind of personal edge that transforms professional competition into something approaching genuine animosity. This dynamic represents classic pre-fight promotional warfare, elevated by Pimblett's brash, cocky communication style colliding directly with Gaethje's no-nonsense, veteran pride, and his loyalty to fighters he shared the octagon with throughout his career. Gaethje frames the encounter as defending legends and proving doubters wrong as a betting underdog. Pimblett views it as an opportunity to prove he represents the new era's face by defeating an icon of the previous generation. The generational aspect of this rivalry deserves particular attention because it represents a recurring theme in combat sports. The established veteran defending not just his own legacy, but the entire era he represents against a brash young challenger who dismisses that history as irrelevant to the present moment. Pimblett is 7-0 in the UFC as of late 2025, including a significant TKO victory over Michael Chandler in April 2025, positioning him as genuinely one of the hottest commodities in the lightweight division. His momentum is undeniable, his fan base is rabid, and his confidence stems from legitimate accomplishments, rather than mere promotional bluster. Gaethje, meanwhile, carries the accumulated wisdom and damage of someone who has been in wars that Pimblett has only watched from the outside. His fights against Chandler, against Poirier, against Charles Oliveira, against Tony Ferguson represent a body of work that speaks for itself, even as critics question whether he has anything left to offer at 37 years old. The physical toll of those encounters is written across his fighting record, but so is the knowledge gained from surviving them. UFC 34 represents far more than another numbered event on the promotional calendar. This is a watershed moment for the sport's distribution model, for the careers of both competitors, and for the trajectory of one of mixed martial arts' most historically significant weight classes. The main event features the interim UFC lightweight championship, with the winner positioning themselves for what would presumably be an eventual unification bout with reigning champion lls Paddy Pimblett, whenever his current situation allows him to return to competition. The betting lines tell a fascinating story about how odds makers and the betting public have assessed this matchup. Gaethje enters as the underdog at approximately plus 187 to plus 190, while Pimblett sits as the favorite around minus 180 to minus 230, reflecting the younger fighter's momentum even as experienced observers acknowledge the danger that Gaethje's experience and power represent. This is Gaethje's 15th UFC fight, and he's been an underdog in 10 of his previous 14 matches, a statistic that speaks to the caliber of competition he's consistently faced throughout his promotional tenure. The experience gap between these two competitors cannot be overstated. Gaethje has been scheduled for 5-round championship fights approximately 20 times throughout his career, developing the kind of deep water experience that simply cannot be replicated through any amount of training or preparation. Pimblett has never been in a 5-round fight at this level, which Gaethje identified as one of the most significant variables that could determine the outcome of their championship encounter. Practical implications of this matchup extend well beyond simple striker versus grappler narratives that casual observers might construct. Pimblett possesses submission skills that have ended fights throughout his career, while Gaethje brings the kind of devastating leg kicks and close-range power that have terminated more experienced opponents than the Liverpool native. Pimblett has stated that Gaethje's power is overrated and that he would be willing to stand and trade for a knockout finish, though whether that confidence will manifest in actual cage behavior remains to be seen when the bell rings. For Gaethje specifically, this fight carries existential weight that extends beyond championship gold. At 37 years old, with substantial accumulated damage from some of the most violent fights in UFC history, he's openly acknowledged that this represents a final chapter rather than a new beginning. He stated he would be a fool to think this is the beginning of anything, acknowledging that the organization is unlikely to grant him a 6th title fight opportunity if he fails to capitalize on this one. The physical preparation both men have undertaken speaks to the magnitude of this opportunity. Pimblett has spoken extensively about arriving at fight week in the best shape of his career, lighter than he's ever been at this stage of a camp, crediting his discipline and even unconventional methods for keeping his weight under control. The transformation from the fighter who sometimes drew criticism for his between-fight physique to the lean competitor who showed up for fight week has been dramatic and speaks to his understanding of what this moment requires. Gaethje, meanwhile, has emphasized his elevation training, his experience in championship rounds, and his intention to take Pimblett into waters the younger fighter has never navigated. His game plan appears centered on exploiting that experience gap, on pushing the pace and pressure until fatigue becomes a factor that favors the man who has been there before. The confidence in his preparation is evident, even as he acknowledges the dangers that Pimblett's momentum and self-belief represent. The venue itself adds another layer of significance to an already loaded occasion. T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas will host UFC 340, the kind of flagship location that fits a historic first event for a new broadcast partner. The ceremonial weigh-ins, the official stare-downs, and every piece of promotional content has been designed to maximize the drama of this new era's launch, and the fighters themselves have delivered performances that justify every ounce of promotional investment the organization and its new partner have committed. The winner will position for a future unification bout with lls Paddy Pimblett, who remains tied up with undisclosed personal matters that have kept him away from competition. Gaethje has expressed preference for a June bout on what he hopes will be a significant card, while acknowledging that if Topuria isn't ready, he'd want the winner of the Charles Oliveira vs. Max Holloway fight as an alternative. Either way, the stakes couldn't be higher for both men stepping into the octagon this Saturday. The implications of this fight extend far beyond the immediate championship picture. Whoever emerges victorious will carry enormous promotional value for Paramount, as they attempt to establish the UFC as a flagship property on their streaming platform. A Pimblett victory would give them a young, charismatic, internationally popular champion who generates content and controversy in equal measure. A Gaethje victory would provide a redemption narrative for one of the sport's most beloved veterans, proving that experience and violence can overcome youth and momentum at the highest level of competition. For the lightweight division itself, this fight represents a pivotal moment in determining who will challenge for undisputed championship status in the coming months. The division has been in flux with Topuria's absence, and the winner of UFC 324's main event will likely become the face of lightweight competition for the foreseeable future, regardless of what happens in any subsequent unification battle. The viral nature of the promotional footage has accomplished exactly what UFC and Paramount intended, creating conversation, generating anticipation, and positioning this fight as a must-watch event for anyone with even a passing interest in combat sports. Whether viewers are Team Paddy or Team Gaethje, whether they're rooting for the brash newcomer or the battle-tested veteran, the promotional campaign has ensured that this fight will draw eyeballs and numbers that justify the investment both organizations have made in this new partnership. The contrast in fighting philosophies makes this matchup particularly compelling from a technical standpoint. Gaethje's approach has always been predicated on violence, on making opponents pay for every exchange, on accumulating damage until the human body simply cannot continue. Pimblett's game is more varied, more unpredictable, built around transitions between striking and grappling that keep opponents guessing about what's coming next. The question of which approach proves superior under championship pressure represents one of the most intriguing tactical puzzles the lightweight division has offered in recent memory. Pimblett carries the weight of expectation into this encounter. He has positioned himself as the future of the division, the fighter who will carry the lightweight torch into a new era of UFC competition. Gaethje represents the old guard, the generation of fighters who built this division into what it is today through wars that fans will remember for decades to come. Saturday night will determine which narrative prevails, at least for now. The verbal warfare has been intense. The face-offs have crackled with genuine tension, and both fighters have made it abundantly clear that they intend to leave everything inside that octagon when the cage door closes behind them. This is what championship mixed martial arts looks like in 20 cinematic production values, genuine personal animosity, and two fighters who both believe with absolute certainty that they're destined to walk out with gold down their waists. Only one of them can be right, and finding out which one will require tuning in when UFC 34 goes live on Paramount Plus this Saturday night from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.